Welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining us on a special edition of the Give and Go podcast. Today, I have some people you'll recognize if you're from the Shore Conference, especially if you're from Jackson. I have Coach Sarah Dessner from Georgian Court and Coach Rachel Goodale from Jackson Township High School now no longer Memorial, but we'll get into that. So just a little bit of background. Coach Dessner played at Jackson for Coach Goodale from 2009 to 2012, won a state championship 2012, came back and joined the coaching staff in 2015 till 2022. They won a sectional title together in 22, and now Sarah's entering her fourth year at Georgian Court as an assistant coach. Coach Goodale, everybody knows Coach Goody, 25 years coaching at Jackson after playing at Jackson, played at Monmouth University, 407 wins as the coach at Jackson Memorial, which that will end her record there at that number. And then starting as the first head coach of girls basketball at Jackson Township High School. So thank you guys for joining me and welcome.
Thanks for having us.
No problem. So let's start off with some exciting news. You guys have something exciting going on next week in Jackson. So tell us all about it.
Yeah, so I've been running camps for 26 years. I mean, Sarah, you've been running camps with your organization for a long time too. I'm sure you'll get into that. But yeah, she reached out to me. I think it was during our season, and she's like, listen, a lot's going on in town. You know, she's obviously true to Jag Nation, and once a Jag, always a Jag. And she's like, let's do something together. Sarah actually came back and coached with me for a while, and then she took on and got the assistant coaching job at Georgian Court. And when she said that, I was like, you know what, this is something we can start, because not a lot of people are doing camps anymore. She's one that still does it. I'm one that still does it. But there's a lot of coaches that say to me, like, why do you still do it? Like, what do you get out of it? You don't get a lot of numbers anymore because of AU and rec and travel and trainers. Why do you still do it? And I'm like, I just love the community aspect of it. Like just the youth community, whether you have 10 kids or 20 kids, of course, we want to have a lot of kids. It's not about money for us. We really want to develop. We still have that same vision, Des and I. And when she asked me, not asked me like, hey, Goody, we should really do something together. We're two strong women coaches that believe in the same vision and the youth of these young girls growing up. And a lot of them don't play a lot of basketball, a lot of multi-sport athletes. We'll get into that. But I was like, this will be cool. Like, even if it's small to start, let's get it going and let's keep it going and let's do it in where we grew up in Jackson. And that's where we're going to host our first camp together next week, which will be pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I also she didn't mention sometimes I just miss her, Sometimes I miss the crazy. So I gotta get a little dose of it, 3 days, 2 hours each day. That'll do it for me.
That's enough. That'll tickle the itch there.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what ages are you guys having a camp? Where are you having it at and all that good stuff? So if anybody watching is interested.
So we're going to keep it at Jackson Memorial School. My mom, actually, it's funny. She read all my posts because I blasted this morning. Sarah blasted hers today. So we just kind of went, we keep rolling snowball effect. But my mom actually just texted me and she goes, it's not Jackson Memorial High School anymore. I go, but it is to everyone now. Like, no one's really used to if I say Jackson Middle School.
Right.
Yeah.
Where are they going?
And it's probably still in the GPS as Jackson Memorial High School.
Right.
So
yeah. So
everybody knows
we decided
Boulevard is
we decided to keep it, start it there, and we'll probably continue to keep it there. It's just been a tradition. I've been hosting it for 26 years now. Her and I will start this there. But it's going to be ages first grade through ninth grade. A lot of her Shore Aces that she's been with that program will be there, and a lot of my Swish kids will be there. And then we open it to the community, but you get a lot of the local kids. We'll run it from 10:30 to 12:30. It'll be a 2-hour clinic. 4 hours sometimes is too much with these kids now. You lose their attention.
Yeah.
We kind of lose our attention.
Yeah.
So it'll go 10:30 to 12:30, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of next week. And It'll be cool. It could be small to start this year, but eventually we want to kind of blow it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember Morgan going to your camp when she was just going into middle school. So you guys have been doing this for a while, and
Yeah.
she really enjoyed it. And I know everybody enjoys it, especially the little kids. I see, you do the little ballers, and
Hmm.
those little kids barely dribble a basketball, but they're excited to be there. Their parents are excited, and so it's important. I know, Goody, we talked about it, why it's important to get these kids started young. So, what is important about getting these kids in the gym young and teaching them the game?
Do you want to touch on that, Sarah, first,
Yeah.
or?
Like Rachel said, like we both have AU programs. I mean, I have some second graders that are playing for me this summer. And it's just good to teach them the right way to play as well. So when you get them young, they don't really have to play that many games, but if you can teach them the right way to play and kind of the right things to do, the right footwork and things like that, it's good to see them grow as they get older. And then you want to try and get them younger, especially Rachel. Like you want to try and get those Jackson kids young and keep them through the program. And when I was an assistant there, that's kind of what we tried to do. So it's a good starting point, especially at camp.
Yeah, so I started Little Ballers when my daughter was, I think, 2. She's now 13. So to see the Little Ballers really develop and then come through my camps and then through the AU programs and hopefully, my school or whatever in high school they develop. But we like to start obviously them young because there's so many other sports that grab these kids. Soccer, dance. My kids started early. Flag football now, like
Yeah, flag
you,
football's huge.
it's
Huge.
huge, and you're really competing unfortunately, because we'll get into the multi-sports kids, but you're
Mhm.
really competing with these kids to play for like because our passion's basketball, right? We think it's so much more than the game. It builds character. It's hard. If you don't put the time in, it's a really hard sport. And nowadays, these kids give up. They quit because they're not putting the time in all the time as these other basketball kids that go all year round, which I don't believe in as well. But if you don't get them young and give them that confidence and that foundation, and you try to get them in middle school and high school to play, nowadays it's too hard for them. That challenge is too tough for them. Sometimes you see they take the easy way out. Let me run track, which is fine. As long as they're doing something, right? But basketball's a really hard sport if you don't put that time in. So, like Sarah said, developing them young, having our camps, which is fun. It's not so demanding, right? They're going to come to a 2-hour clinic. They're going to have a really good time. They're going to be excited to come back. There's no pressure on youth basketball camp, right? So that's why we really, really embrace the little ballers. And that's my favorite thing to do. High school's here for me, but little ballers is right there.
Mhm.
So it's just to really get them to enjoy the game and have the confidence, like going year in, year out.
Now, Sarah, do you guys run camps at Georgian Court still?
Yep. Yeah,
Okay,
so we
so
we have one the week after as well. Yeah. So we do.
and what age group do
So we do first through eighth as well. So we'll
okay.
have that July 14th. We do a 4-day camp, so 14th to the 17th. And then we do like our prospect clinic as well for the high school age group.
And what differences do you see in the Georgian Court camp compared to maybe your, AAU camp or the camp you run with Rachel? Like, do the kids come in skilled at all? Do you actually end up teaching them more? The
Uh,
older kids, is it more like skill development? How does that work?
yeah, I think that with Georgian Court, now that I've been there for 4 years, it is a lot of my kids. Like a lot of my short aces kids will come to that camp, and those are kind of the more skilled players. That one's co-ed. The one I run is all girls, so that's also a difference. But yeah, I mean, we have a good, especially at Georgian Court, we have a good mix. Like the older kids are usually pretty decent, and then it's like the young kids are good. Like young boys are really good, and we have them kind of playing up. And then you have that like the middle school age group where there's some really talented, some just kind of getting into it. But we try and make it fun. Again, like Rachel said, it's supposed to be something you want to come back to every day. It's 5 days, it's hours on hours on
Yeah.
hours a day where you're eating lunch, you're eating breakfast, you're having stuff as well. Like there's a million things going on. So a lot of the difference between Georgian Court and kind of my camp, Georgian Court, with the people working it, there are players. So we want our players to bond with the kids so they can come to games and all of our events. which we've seen the last 4 years, especially since I've been there. But the ACES camp, it's usually kids that play for me already, so they go kind of knowing who the coaches are. They know I'm psychotic, and we're gonna have fun. But we're really, especially with my elite kids, like you're gonna get those hours are gonna be work. We're gonna have fun, and then the younger kids will have fun too. But I'm balanced out by some of my coaches, so that's kind of the difference.
Good.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah,
also a good opportunity to get them in the summer. Like a lot of them don't pick up a ball if they're not playing
right.
AU or if they're not
Yeah.
playing rec or whatever. A lot of them don't pick up a ball. So here's an opportunity. You have 3 days. When I originally started, I really, really was, and I still am truly into the community. Obviously, I'm still there. But that was my thing. Let's keep these Jags to meet our staff, to meet our players. Like Sarah worked camps for me when she was a
I was
player.
a camper.
She was a camper.
I
I'm
was
old.
camp. My sister was a camper.
Yep.
Yeah. We both worked at camp.
And when
Yep.
we won the state championship in 2012, I always bring that up.
Hmm.
We had about 85 kids that came to that summer camp. That was the
Wow.
biggest ever. We just blew up. And then eventually everyone's running camps. And then
Right.
your hoop groups and then your trainers. And so you see camps start to definitely dwell. But like my biggest thing was I wanted to keep the Jackson kids to meet me for 3 days a week, 4 days a week, every year, every summer. And I'll always do it. I don't care if I have 3 kids. I'll always meet them those 3 days. But um, like she said, it is fun. I don't change much. You're gonna get my one-on-one tournament the same I did in 2000 and I do now. You're gonna get my 3-on-3. Like my camp agenda is pretty much I copy and paste. But it's all about, the personalities of the campers and her and I doing it together. It's going to be awesome. We have that same like passion and love for the game. So it's going to be cool. I'm excited about it.
So, yeah, I mean, listen, I think it's great because, when you're running a program, obviously you want kids at a young age to become familiar with everything and how things run and how you are and how, you know, just everything. And it makes it easier for those kids to transition when they get to you. Say, oh, I know Coach Goody. I know she's demanding. I know she's going to be tough. I know Coach Sarah. She's going to be tough on us, but we have fun. And it's really important that, you know, they become familiar with you guys. So I
Yeah.
think it's great what you guys do. And, at Georgian Court, not many people know I coached 1 year there as an assistant, 2004, 2005, when it was just transitioning to allowing men at night. So it
Yeah.
was
Take
really
class at
all
night.
girls still,
Yeah.
and men were allowed to go at night. There was no men's sports or anything. And unfortunately, the coach there had a really tough time because we followed a lady that was there for a really long time. But now, and not a lot of people know at Georgian Court, the head coach is a women's basketball Hall of Famer. So, kids in the area that want to go to camps and live outside of Jackson, it's a great place to go learn from someone that's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then now, Rachel, you brought up that there's so many camps now, and it seems like there's a lot more individual trainers getting involved because of the money involved in all these sports. So when you're trying to find a trainer and you're talking to parents about which trainers to go see, what's important for a parent to look for in a trainer that that you're getting the right person and the right fit for your kid? I know it's a tough one.
Listen, Sarah and I have the same mindset when it comes to this.
Before we even talk about trainers, I don't get it. I don't get why you need a trainer, to be honest. I mean, when we all were playing,
Yeah.
Hannah Mystery, I'd never seen her with a trainer. We would just be in the gym all the time.
Yeah.
My mother would drop me off at 8 a.m. for a 9 a.m. camp that would start. I got there early. She would pick me up at 7 when the camp ended at 3, and we're just in the gym. Like, I didn't need someone with me. Obviously times have changed. It's also harder, and I give them a break a bit. Like, it's harder to get into a gym. Like, can't just sneak into a school or something like that. It is harder. None of them want to go outside, so that's the difference.
No kids go to parks anymore.
No, they're not like playing pickup. Like, it's much different. But I think the biggest thing for young girls is to play against boys. And if you can find somewhere that can foster a competitive environment, that, like Rachel just touched on, doesn't make you want to quit. I think that's the biggest thing. Whether it's skills training or gameplay or whatever it is, I think you have to foster some sort of competitiveness. I was talking about this the other day. The difference between girls and boys in sports, like if someone asks, if I go say, girls, let's go play pickup, they'll say, well, who's going? They want to know who they're playing against, right? If I'm like, boys, come on, let's go play. Okay,
Let's go.
like,
Yeah,
we're just going.
Yep.
So I think you just need to find somebody that fosters a competitive environment and that is focused on getting your kid better. Also, as a parent, you have to have, you have to be realistic about things too. Is my kid here? Although I see little, Rebecca going to this trainer, maybe little Rebecca's a little more advanced. So how about you focus on your child and where they're going? So that's being realistic and fostering competitive environment, I think, are the two biggest things when you're looking for anyone that's helping you in anything. It could be a tutor, just, anything.
We feel the same way. We felt like this for a really, really long time with our kids. When she coached with me, we've had players that would leave practice and go to training, and we just didn't understand it, and I'm not saying we're not tooting our own horns, but we had a pretty competitive environment in Joe Perry Gymnasium every day. We had guys come in that played against them, football guys. So we were kind of like, we would look at each other, Sarah and I, like, why are they going to train after a 2-hour grind, and who are these trainers, but like she said, it's hard to just go play street ball when no one's out there, or go play pickup when no one's out there. So I do get it to the extent. However, I can't train my own daughter. She doesn't listen to me. So I swallow my pride. I have a court in my backyard. I swallow my pride and I do get her a trainer. However, it's competitive. It's always a 3-on-3. It's always a 2-on-2. You teach a skill, you play it live. So it's basically like you're going to a hard practice. So I don't know. And I think it's the parents really do, like she said, need to be realistic. I've had parents say, what trainer do you recommend? I'm not going to recommend.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I think our coaching staff does a heck of a job. I think we're going to do really, really good by your kid all the time. Sarah, the same way, right? Like that's how we've always felt. That's how I'll always feel. However, if they're looking for that extra technique that we can't implement, like we can't work on an hour shooting in practice, you know? And that goes back to self-motivation. Like she said, I grew up, you knew my dad, he built a
Yeah.
court, you couldn't even dribble the
Yeah.
ball. It was bumpy and no net
Yep.
in the farmland. Like it was a mess. So that's where I grew up playing. My brother was cutting weight and we play every day. So it's the self-motivation part. If these kids aren't, and that's where the parents need to be realistic. Like, hey, my kid's not motivated, so you're gonna pay for a trainer to
Right.
train,
If you
and
have to drag them there,
Yeah.
it's
They're not going to be
probably
motivated
they're
to
not
learn anyway.
right. They're not going to want to be there. Then there's no point in taking them.
yeah,
Yeah.
so
And
I see that a lot in these kids. Like that self-motivation aspect is a big issue nowadays with these kids. And like she said, like if you're motivated to do it and you want that extra that you're not getting at practice, that's different. But if you're being forced to do it, that might be a red flag. Like maybe they should just tone in and lock into what they're doing at practice, and then we'll go from there. So
Yeah. And I think, overall, a major part of that is college has become so expensive. And, parents are willing to spend thousands of dollars on travel teams and AAU and trainers and thinking their kid is going to get a scholarship. But in reality, what 3.6% of high school girls basketball players go on to play at any level of college. So, again, like Sarah said, you got to be realistic
mhm.
about your kid and your expectations and your what do you expect out of this whole experience. And I think a lot of parents just aren't realistic, and it's a shame.
Yeah, and you know what? There are some that really turn the corner. I had a parent call me the other day and say, you know what? I'm over like I want my kid to get training because she loves it. And I love AU and I love her playing for you and so on. But I don't care if she plays college basketball. I love watching my daughter
Yeah,
play.
that's
So
good.
that's different.
Mhm.
Like I'll pay for my daughter to go to dance because that's her passion and vision. Is she going to be in college and do dance? Maybe not. But it is the growth and the team, like the handling adversity, your character, all of it is worth it if you are realistic. and you're right, a lot aren't, but a lot do turn the corner when they realize, oh, okay, by their sophomore or junior year, but it's tough.
Yeah, it's a huge business and one that's not going to go away anytime soon. But as long as you find the right fit for your kid and your kid's into it, then make it work. We touched on before, Rachel. You said something multi-sport athletes, and I know it's a big issue because now, unlike when we grew up, we played different sports all year round. In the summer, we played a bunch of sports, but um, now a lot of kids are specializing in certain sports for at a young age. So you don't get a lot of these multi-sport athletes, but especially with your transition to a new school this year, it's going to be important that you can grab kids from different sports that maybe basketball isn't their first sport or their second sport, but what is it about multi-sport kids what kind of skill set do they bring to the table even if they're not a great player? What is it about them that you need them that makes your team
Yeah.
function?
So I feel like more in like the public schools, like maybe not. I feel like RBC has a lot of multi-sport athletes, but definitely like in Jackson, I've always had those multi-sport athletes. I always had the soccer and the lacrosse and track and stuff like that and cross country. Um, and then I got away from it. Like then it was more like it became a basketball town. Like I feel like after the state championship, like people were really playing. And even now, I got some kids like playing basketball all year round. They're getting away from their other sports. So I love the multi-sport athlete because I feel it's important for them to be coached by other coaches, hear other voices. They bring us a different animal like that. Those soccer kids, are tough, fast. Their motor's a little bit higher than some of the others, and their fitness level. That's huge, right? So I love that. However, there's been a decline, like in these multi-sport athletes, where I do have the soccer kids that just want to play soccer in the last 2 years, like all year round. So I'm starting to lose those kids, which is crazy to me because it never happened. They wanted to play like the Chloe Mesters. They
Mhm.
wanted to play during the season just to give them a break from soccer, and they loved it. Now it's different. I don't know if it's a club aspect or the club coaches that really just want them not to get hurt or hone in on just that. But I'm starting to lose them, and that bothers me because I like those. I love those kids. I love those blue collar kids, and it does help the adversity of it all. But it's changed, and it's tough. But yeah, I'm gonna try to really pull field hockey kids and soccer kids. I'm always gonna continue to do that. I think it's good for them as well.
Sarah, when you're recruiting at the college level, is it important to you and Coach Jazz, like, you know, that kids play multiple sports or, I know a lot of coaches um, are into that. They think, if kids can play, have been coached by different people, they're coachable. Is that something that you guys hone in on, or is it something that just happens by?
Yeah, I think it just happens.
Mhm.
We have a good mix. I mean, we have a few international students that kind of they just grow up like that. You just grow up playing other sports. It's much different than the United States where your school is not connected to your basketball, your soccer, things like that. But they will just go out and play tennis for fun. They're not tennis players, but they stay active. It's just more like European and our Australians are like that. The American kids, I mean, we do have a lot. One of our captains was very successful in soccer and basketball. And she's a great athlete and she's extremely coachable. So it does help. If they are coachable, it's helpful. And you can tell. But we don't really kind of look for it. But it usually is those kids are usually in a little better shape or they are more coachable because they've heard different voices, or just more active in general. That's what we preach all the time. We're like, you don't have to go do another sport necessarily, but go do something like go swimming, go walking, something. So just to keep your body right and stay in shape all the time.
Yeah, I
Hey,
think I'm going to be honest. I think the multi-sport athletes I think it's good for their mindset. I really do. Like I truly believe in that at the high school level. I feel they should do another sport. I'm always big on that. I tried to get all my kids that are just basketball players this past year. to run cross country. It helped them. It helped them come into the season fit. I mean, I had a girl who crushed everything in our time trials because she ran cross country, and then their mindset, they feel good about themselves, maybe, and they're girls, right? They're in high school. That's how it is. And they feel good if they're playing another sport, and then they're looking forward to basketball. So I preach it with my kids. I always will. But however, you'll start to notice that these kids are really going into one thing again. It was like up and down.
Mhm.
You'll see the soccer kids play soccer, go winter soccer, and then they have their club soccer all year round.
I
And
think we saw that when I was on staff there. Like we
Yeah.
really did have to adapt because coming into someone who played for Rachel, where we were playing with all other basketball kids, like when I was younger, Dana Costello was a great soccer player, but she knew when basketball started, basketball was being played, and she knew that. And I never saw her miss a practice. I never saw her miss anything. And then when I played, we just were all basketball players. So I don't think, I mean, you tell me if I'm wrong. I don't remember anyone
Yeah.
like having to worry about that. And then when I came back, I was, she kind of had to calm me down because I'm like, why are you missing this? Why are you missing games? Why are you missing? And she's like, we just have to adapt. Like
Mhm.
club soccer was coming in, you're paying thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, and maybe you're going to college to play soccer instead of basketball. But I had to adapt to it being on a high school staff too. And it was weird. And we were more flexible than club soccer seemed to be. So it was different.
yeah, I think where'd he go? You got to get your dogs, Doug. You back?
Once a podcast, everything.
Okay.
That's
Sorry.
okay. Mine are sleeping over there. So
Lucky.
they're on their best behavior right now.
No
Lucky.
pets in my
Shocked.
no pets in my
Shocked.
house.
Um,
I think, Doug, I think that's what's important to the message here. Times have changed. Sarah would come back and be like, "Good, you're getting soft." Like I go, listen, at the end of the day, there's nothing soft about me, but
right.
you lose them. You'll lose these kids.
Mhm.
And then it's like, okay, then so what? So what? So what? Then it's like you have to kind of adapt, but at some point we got to be respected too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
At some point you got to bend for us. Like we're in season now.
Yeah.
Like sure, we'll try to change a practice for you on a Saturday. However, you can't be missing a day before a game. Like that's the stuff we kind of have to deal with. I this year have to do it more than ever. It's going to be a challenge. I'm super pumped about the challenge. I live for the challenge, but it's going to be hard. I lose a lot of kids. Um, maybe because it's the merge, maybe not. It
Right.
is what it is, but I'm moved forward. I'm pumped up about it, but I will be dealing with this differently. And I still got to stay true to who I am, that this program is important. It's not fair to the other kids or the staff, but you also got to be flexible with today's society. Now, Sarah's in a different position. My brother's in a different position.
Right.
They're there to play basketball. They're there to wrestle. So he doesn't
I
have
think
that.
Rachel touched on it too. Like it is kind of an escape for them. Like my sister played 3 sports. She played soccer, basketball, and lacrosse. And
Mhm.
lacrosse was so fun for her because she was naturally pretty good at it and there was no pressure. I mean, I'm not screaming at her. I have no idea what the rules are. Like I'm just sitting
Yeah.
there clapping. And then you come to basketball where I'm there and Rachel, who she's known since she was 4, is there, and it's a little more pressure, and she's going to college for it, so it was a lot of pressure. So I think Goody's right. Like, go play other sports, go have fun where there's no pressure, and maybe you're really good at it, and that's what takes you off, and not the sport you originally started. But I think just be involved is helpful.
Yeah, and then real quick, and then I start to see, kids will do another sport and they're like, yeah, I don't think basketball is my thing, and I don't think because it's hard, like I said.
Mm.
So and I don't want to say it's an easy way out because there's some really good athletes that can run and do winter track and be awesome. So I support that 100%. However, I think basketball, like maybe I'm biased and Sarah too, but I love the challenge of it for these kids because it is hard and that's life, right? It's hard to just go in, be able to dribble with your right, be able to dribble with your left. That's adversity, and those are challenges. Don't take the easy way out. Try something hard and difficult for you for 2 months, and that's kind of my fight I'm going on right now. Because I got some really, really great kids in my program and other programs that I would love to be part of ours, but it's hard to really get those kids to buy into that part of it, that skill set.
Yeah. It's I mean, basketball, there's nowhere you can hide on a basketball court. There's 10 kids out there. You can't hide. if you're not up to the level of play, you're going to get exposed. And I think a lot of kids can't handle that. And that's why if they're not primarily a basketball player, it's really hard for them to get into basketball because they don't like being exposed. They don't like the feeling of being inadequate. And like, if you're a soccer player, you're a standout soccer player, you're used to being a star. You come on a basketball court and you're like, oh shit, I'm gonna get exposed,
Yeah, but you know what? Some of them can really use that strength.
Yeah.
Be like, I'm really good at this.
We've had a lot.
You can
I'm a
sit
really
on
great
defense and just say, hey,
defender.
mark this kid and stop him
Yeah,
from
like I'm a
scoring. They
really
take it.
Yeah.
I'm a great defender. I'm a lockdown defender. I'm in the best shape. I'm a good teammate. Like, why can't those three be awesome? Like that's life. So yeah, maybe you're not the best shooter in this, but you are such a great team player and you're so important for the program. And that's what I want these kids to understand. You don't have to be great in 10 things,
Right.
Sarah was a great shooter. Sarah was a great teammate. She couldn't defend.
I still
And
can't.
she knew it. But you know what? She wasn't going to quit because she couldn't defend.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. The mindset and the mentality is just different. The mental
Yeah.
toughness is just different. And I'm going to continue to try to, and I'm sure Sarah does at the next level, continue to try to get that mind right and that mental toughness because that is life. And if it has to take basketball to do it, then that's our job.
Yeah. And as a father of a three-sport athlete, I think it helps a lot with school. Your time management has to be spot on. You can't cut corners in school if you're going to play sports for 3 seasons. It's like a full circle thing. It helps you athletically, but also helps you academically.
Yeah, for sure.
So another thing we wanted to touch on, which I think is really big. It's a fascinating subject. Is loyalty or lack thereof in sports. And I think, with college sports the way they are now, where kids can just transfer with when we were growing up, if you transfer schools, it was a 30-day sit and that was it. There was no other
I never
rule.
even heard of it.
Right.
I never even heard of it.
Nor would you. What you're going to play with your friends, and it's 4 years you're never going to get back, and 4 great years we never thought of transferring, and it just never crossed our mind. But college basically, let's call it what it is. It's free agency. These kids see that if you're not playing, if you don't like the coach, it's just easy to move on. It's as easy to quit and go to another place where you think you're going to play more or have an easier time. And it's trickling down to the high school level. It's trickling down to the AAU level, which, you guys know as AAU program directors. There's just not much loyalty anymore. So why is that? And who's to blame?
I think on like the AAU level, there's just so many options. So if your kid's not playing here, we'll go there, and they'll bounce around. They will continue to bounce around, and they'll try and find somewhere where they don't have to work harder to try and play. Now, I'm a big proponent of, we have some kids that email us at Georgian Court that are on these AAU teams, and maybe they're a very good AAU team and you're sitting the bench. That's not good either for your recruiting process. So you have to find the right fit. But if you're, you're playing a good amount and you're contributing to the team and things like that, I think you need to stay on that team, especially the younger groups, like 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade. Stay together, get a good team together, and really grow together. I think that shows chemistry wise, especially as they get older, but there's not a lot of that on the AAU front. College, we're in a little different situation. We don't really have many people leave here and there to maybe we're in financially, sometimes we're just not the best fit for them anymore either. So we completely understand that. So we don't have many people leave, but it's a similar thing, if I'm not playing, first of all, I'm a proponent of the transfer portal. Like, it is what it is. You go, that's not a good fit for you and you worked hard and you worked at it, then fine. But I don't think, Coach Ads and I always speak about it, I don't think you should leave after your first year. That first year for everybody, that freshman year, academically, athletically, it's a roller coaster ride. Whether you're averaging 20 points a game or you're averaging 2 points a game or you're not playing at all. everyone's going through that freshman year. So you should wait that out and then wait till after your sophomore year, reassess. You kind of understand the process of college and college athletics. So I do believe in that part of it, but we're lucky enough to not really have many people transfer. We love our team, and they have really the team themselves have fostered a really good environment. So it's tough. I mean, but at the Division I level, it's a totally different ballgame.
Yeah, I'm in a different boat than Sarah, obviously. This is the first time in 25 years that I've lost kids that played for me. Like I've lost kids before they came in, before I even had them in my program, but that really played for me. So I'm going through it. Definitely was tough spring. It was like boom, boom, boom after another. And obviously the town is going through a lot, and you could blame that, or you cannot, but the town is going through a lot, and it's changing. But I just think the commitment level is different with these kids, right? And I'm not saying all of them, because God, I have some really great kids and great families that are super loyal, that are super loyal. I got four seniors that are with me, and they're super loyal. But it definitely comes with commitment. It's the grind, and it goes back to the self-motivation, and it's the adversity, and maybe it's the curiosity. Like, people are leaving, people are transferring, the town is changing. Maybe it's a curiosity, something's better. The grass is greener, right? We use that cliche, but I just don't think the priorities anymore. It's no longer about, and Sarah, you'll probably agree with this, it's no longer about the community playing for your town, playing for the name of your town,
Mhm.
Jackson or Tom's River or Howell, whatever it is, or the coaches that are in front of you. The coaches that have been there and are loyal and care more about you than maybe the game. I think we are true to that. I think Sarah's true. Obviously, Sarah's super true to that, with her organization and where she's at. Like, it is more than basketball. We talk about that all the time. And I think just that loyalty has changed because the self-motivation has changed in these kids. Um,
And also their parents allowing that. Like as a parent, you're not you're paying.
Mhm.
So you're paying, you're driving, you're
Right.
traveling. So I think you have to put your foot down as well and understand. Again, we go back to being realistic. Is this a really good environment for them? And maybe they just want to leave because it's easier to leave, or like Rachel said, they're curious, their friends are leaving or something. But it's up to the parents too to instill that in them.
yeah.
Yeah, I
And I
agree. I
think,
think, yeah, go ahead.
uh, I think it is, like she said, they feel maybe it's not the right environment, or it's not the right school situation, or it's not the best players around your kid. Doug, and Sarah had some really good players around her, but we played 5, 6 kids. We didn't
Yeah,
have 15, 12
right.
kids. That group grinded. It was hard. And I didn't have players around me. And when I grew up, and yeah, times have changed, but I don't think they should. I
Mm-hmm.
think you should still instill that in your kid. Like, hey, yeah, you might be the best guy on the team and you're going to be double teamed and triple teamed, but this is going to help you in life. And
Mm-hmm.
then maybe AAU is a different situation. Like, then you go on an AAU team where you got star players around you, and it's not just you out there. But I'm big into handling that adversity. I'm big into staying home. Obviously, I've been here 26 years. It'll be. Um, and my thing is with AAU. Sure. My kids, I have a 15-year-old team that's really, really good, and they're being poached all the time.
Yeah,
That's part of the business, right?
yeah.
I'm only going to offer what I can offer. I'm going to coach your kid really, really hard. We're going to get them to the next level. We're going to be in all the same tournaments, but there's not much more, we can do for that, and if it's the parents that have that mentality, it is what it is,
Mhm.
and I talked to Sarah about it. I was beat up in the spring about a couple things with my program, and she was like, "You're not chasing anybody. You
Nor
you
should
do
you have
you,
to. Yeah,
and
right.
whoever shows up on day one, and this is someone who played for me, and I appreciated it. Whoever shows up on day one or walk those halls, you'll be great with them, and that's it. And I really, Sarah, I thank you for that, because I hear that a lot from my alumni, because it gets harder, with times.
Sure. And I think it's, uh, you know, Sarah, you said, the parents have to decide, like, you know, put your foot down and say, no, kid, you got to learn how to be gritty. You got to learn how to be tough. You got to learn how to be resilient and stay where you are, or let your kid take the easy way out and say, okay, go ahead, go somewhere else, whatever. And I think part of that is the culture. It's you know, I need my kid to get a scholarship to afford college, and I need to have them play where I think they're going to get the most playing time, not taking into account who the coach is, the culture of the school, you know, the exposure you're going to get. There's a lot of factors that go into it, but I think it's really a cultural thing, and it's just not teaching kids how to be gritty and resilient.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, they're kids,
Mhm.
so anyone that leaves my program or transfers from other programs or even these colleges, like you wish them the best, of
Mhm.
course. Like I want them to I've had a relationship with these kids. I always will. I'm not that bitter type. That's not who I am. I don't hold grudges, which is kind of a negative thing about me sometimes. Sometimes I should. But at the end of the day, like they're kids and I support them. I want them to be okay. I want them in the right hands. If it's not our program, then hopefully someone will take care of that kid. So at the end of the day, I truly believe that. But it is tough. And I'm going to make sure, my kids are young still, and I want my kids loyal and locked into where they started, they'll finish. And that's truly where I'll go with it. But at the end of the day, times have changed. So we're dealing with it. We're going through it for sure.
Yeah, it's uh, it's just something that's probably not going to go away for a long time, and just something that coaches, 25-year coaches and new coaches are going to have to adapt to. And right, wrong, or indifferent, it is what it
Mhm.
is. So one more thing before we go. A lot of changes taking place in Jackson. We mentioned Jackson Township High School starting this fall. Uh, Jackson Memorial High School is now going to be a middle school. Jackson Liberty High School, for all intents and purposes, is getting swallowed up. Now it's combining with Jackson Memorial High School. The new building will be at Liberty, which is a newer building, probably a little more technologically advanced. But for anyone that grew up in Jackson like we did, all the athletic history is at Memorial.
Yeah.
So, I know it's difficult. We talked about it, Rach, but you know, what's it like going through this as a person that's your mom's been a teacher in Jackson forever, your brother's been there, you've been there, like Sarah, you too, you grew up in Jackson, what's it like for you guys now having your high school close?
You could touch that.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
It's not just like your high school, it's from your middle school is not the middle school, your high school. It's weird. And like Rachel, the Goodales have been there forever, and I'm like a similar. I grew up there, I went there, I played. My sister grew up there, went there, played, and all for the same coach and all had the same teachers and things like that, walking the same halls. So it is really odd. I don't know how else to describe it. It's weird. I'm sure it'll be weirder as it goes, like seeing different uniforms and different. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's all weird. Obviously, I'm not that much in it as Rachel is. I think if I was still on staff, me and her would have a lot of nights with adult beverages in this scenario. But it is still odd. My parents still live in Jackson, and it's really weird. And I know it's weird for the Goodales as a whole because they are Jackson. But like Rachel said, like there's never been anything thrown at her that she doesn't love. She's a little crazy, so she loves a challenge. And just a little. And I told her, like she said, like you're not chasing anyone. If they don't know who you are, they'll learn when they walk in the gym, and that's it. You're who you are, and you're going to coach the hell out of whoever walks in the gym. And but yeah, I'm sure it's very very weird.
Yeah. Well, when we first found out, it was super emotional for the Jags, the alumni, your Bernie Riders, like old school alumni just reaching out. And it was pretty cool. Like I remember we were in the Coaches Cup final or semifinal. It was our last game ever in Joe Perry Gymnasium. And Sarah's behind me in her varsity coat, Jackson varsity coat.
Yeah,
And
I grabbed everything out of the
the
ring. I
rings.
had my rings on. I
Right.
had the 2012 state championship shirt on, which is not even white anymore. Got the
Yeah.
got the varsity jacket out of my parents' house. It was just cool to be there
Yeah.
in that stuff. And
And
I
I
was
don't know
with
if
some
you
of my
know,
teammates as well.
yeah, I don't know if you know, well, Doug, you know, and Sarah, you know, our gym's 101 degrees.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
have that connection at Liberty,
Yeah.
but I do at Memorial, and he pumps that heat up. So I remember I was super emotional. We knew we were going to win the game. I'm in the huddle with my kids. It was the last game ever being played there, and I got really teared up. And we won, which we won something. We won the Coaches Cup, the NIT, whatever you want to call it. But it was the very last game, and I look up and I see my alumni. And Steph Mason's on my staff too, that was in the state championship, and Shino and Sarah, and they're all there. And Capicato, old school, look up, and I just start crying. I'm like, wow, like this is what it's about. And it hit me that like, no, we can't leave this place. No way, no way. But then you embrace it, and I'm like thinking Duke, North Carolina. It's a couple miles down the road. It's
Yeah.
not a big
Yeah.
deal. Um, and I definitely said, you know what, this is a challenge, and not a challenge to, obviously I got the coaching job, which I'm grateful for. And the Liberty coach will be on my staff, which is cool. I keep my staff. Um, but it was a lot of emotions. And then when I knew I got the job, I'm like, all right, I'm pretty much starting from ground one, like year one again,
Yeah.
with a new type of team, some veterans coming back, but really new, and a new environment, a new building with no team room, which that was our pride and joy, our team room that we built as a staff and a program from ground up. So we were very lucky over there. We had a lot of stuff that was important to us as a family, and now you're kind of bringing that culture over there. And listen, at the end of the day, change could be good. I truly believe in that. So I'm excited for it. It was hard, but when I walked out those doors the last time, I still have my swish practices there. So I'm still in the gym. I'll have my alumni games there. But that's my home. Like that's my pride and joy. Grew up there. And it's hard, but we'll start something new, and it'll be fun, and it's not going to happen overnight with girls basketball, but it will happen. And I truly believe in that. We just got to stay true to the town and the community and keep people home, keep these athletes, these multi-sport athletes home. And that's what I'm fighting for. And I'll have energy till I die when it
Yeah.
comes to that. Like, I'm not going anywhere, and I certainly don't want them to go anywhere. The academics are unbelievable still here. The coaches are still there. The camaraderie is awesome. The football coach is really fired up, and people are really fired up for it. Then there's some that obviously aren't.
Right.
But we are. And we are, and I'm being honest. We are truly one town, one heart again, and we're going to make the best of it. So I'm excited about it. And at the end of the day, it's new, and I'm excited for the challenge for sure.
I mean, I think after 25 years, you always try to challenge yourself with something new and something different, but I don't imagine this is how you expected different and challenging to be.
No. Well, people made fun of me all the time. They're like, at the beginning, you're going to be a Liberty Lion. And I'm like, whatever. Like,
Ooh.
I'm not going to. So we are the Jags still.
Yeah.
But listen, the building is absolutely gorgeous. I
Yeah.
walked in. This
Yeah.
is a beautiful place.
Yeah. The
It's
gym
super
is
nice.
cavernous. It's huge. It's
Yeah, it is.
yeah.
But again, I'm old school. Like
Yeah.
I
You like
like
the
small
small
environment.
confines of
Yeah.
Joe Perry. Yeah.
So we'll get used to it. You might hear a pin drop in girls' basketball games early on, but we'll try to PR it and get people there and programs there. But I'm excited about the kids. I really want to get to know that side of town and those girls' basketball players over there and the athletes over there and their parents,
Mhm.
just to really create a new family and a new bond. And that's how I grew up. One town, and we are the Jags still, so that's pretty cool. And then, we'll go from there, but it should be fun.
Yeah. It'll be exciting. It'll be different. And, you know, like Sarah said before, I've known you a long time. I know what you're about and how you work, and it may take you a little while, it may not, but you will get that place running the way you want it running, and the kids will buy in or they won't, and you'll work with what you have and you'll make it work.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I
look
might have a
forward
lot
to
of gray hairs and a lot of CG nights with
CGs.
Sarah or Maggie,
Absolutely.
whatever comes first. But yeah, listen, Doug, we appreciate you. I mean, you're such an advocate for women's sports and obviously women's basketball. Your daughter's a three sport athlete, so she is cut from that cloth. And we're really just both of us about the youth and the community of not just girls basketball, but girls athletes. And we just don't want them to give up on the sport just because it's hard. You know, we want them to
Right.
embrace it and be around coaches like us that absolutely love them as kids first before basketball players.
And you don't want them to give up because of change,
Mhm.
the change that's coming in the township. You know, don't give up on something that you've grown to love because things are going to be different. And, I know you're telling your kids that all the time, but maybe hearing it from an outside source, tradition doesn't graduate. Tradition is what it is. If building doesn't, make the tradition, it's your program. So, I encourage all your kids to just stick with it and see it through because it's going to work.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. For sure.
So listen, I appreciate you guys coming on. It's always great talking basketball in the middle of the summer. Just happened to be a nice day. Rachel didn't have to go to the beach, so
Yep, exactly.
we got a nice crappy day.
Sarah's tan already. This girl's on vacation all the time.
I'm not on vacation. I just frequent the beach a bit.
Awesome.
Listen, I live a block from the beach and I hate the beach, so I'm always, but I understand. I appreciate you guys coming on. Sarah, good luck this year with I know you guys have live periods coming up for AAU.
Yep.
So good luck with that. Good luck with Georgian Court. Rachel, good luck with the transfer and everything that's going on. And I'll stay in touch with you guys. But
yeah, for sure.
Anytime you guys want to come on, I'd love to have you guys on and chop it up about girls basketball.
I'll get you a Jackson Jags shirt.
Oh, yeah.
Well, since I never had one from the old one, I guess, yeah. Well, I guess your new design will be next year, right? It won't be your first year. Yeah.
It's still the Jaguar, but it's just a different logo.
Guess you got to incorporate the school colors and all that stuff. And,
yeah, we have to add a little of gray, I believe.
Yeah.
It'll be cool.
It'll be cool, though. Yeah. Different, but cool.
Kind of like Ohio State.
Yeah. Oh, I hate Ohio State, but that's all right. All right, guys. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, Doug.
All right, take care.
Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Doug. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.